Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the channel. Sorry, we were facing some technical difficulties, so yeah, but still, we're back. We managed to survive the whole situation. Yeah, let me turn on some music and okay, so now you can hear. You can listen to some music while we're chilling. Give me food. No. All right. So welcome again, welcome back, welcome to our channel, and let's start right ahead because we were already like 17 minutes late. We're gonna introduce our guests, which I think you guys already know from the thumbnail. First, I'm gonna introduce you to the 2022 Malaysia champion, Wilson. Wilson.
Hello everyone.
Hey.
Hello, hello.
Yeah. We can
Hello,
hear you.
hello.
Hello,
Yep.
hello.
Okay. Yep. Hello, hello. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, everyone can hear you very clearly. All right, thank you,
Okay,
Wilson.
yeah.
So that's the other guest, which is in Singapore representative. Actually, it's a Malaysian representative for this year. He went to Japan and competed. Came back. He is Bruce. Bruce Lau. Hello, Bruce.
Hello guys, can you hear me?
Oh, well, why is everyone
Hello.
starting the conversation with "Can you hear me"? How was your fake laugh? How was your trip to Japan, Bruce?
I think it's a very good experience going out of the country to compete against some of the best players and also travel around Japan and kind of good.
Quite good, quite good. All right. Hope you experience more, and then you can bring back some Japanese knowledge back to us. Not just some random Japanese word, but some Japanese techniques and different combos that they do. All right. So moving on to for the podcast. First questions. Before we start the whole podcast, we're gonna know. Do you guys know what we're talking about? Yeah, I think you guys know actually. From the title, Banlist. We're going to talk about Banlist April 2024, which is going to be applied this next month. So Bruce Wilson, what are your cards in your mind? When we talk about Banlist, what are the cards in your mind? Like the first cards.
The first card that came to my mind was Serubi lah, which is
Serubi.
not bad lah.
Not bad, yes. It is not on the list. So sadly, it's not on the list. Serubi. So I think you don't really like Java a lot.
Yes.
You don't like Java at all. Okay, great. So how about you, Wilson? What was your must-ban card?
My most banned card. Actually, throughout this season, I was actually thinking that Mouse has been showing a lot of dominance, but it's still a fairly new deck. But if they were to try and hit Mouse, I would definitely go for Siegfried XV.
Siegfried X.
Because the card mainly relies a lot on main steps. Has timing during main steps. Yeah, Siegfried XV. So you basically allows a follow-up play to the Zenith. But without the XV, the Mouse deck will have a much lesser offense in terms of setting up, because you will have to use. What they do is they use the Savior to get their cores back, and that allows you to extend your play further. And if you actually have, let's say, one more copy of the Siegfried XV, it actually puts the opponent in a very, very tough situation where it can have two types of destruction with both Spirit, Ultimate, and Nexus. That actually have a very hard defensive play against them. Not to mention they also have a lot of other brave options as well. But definitely Siegfried XV is one of the cards that I'm looking forward to. Let's say if they ever get dominant in the upcoming meta.
Oh, I see. So from the tournament in Japan, the final in Japan, I saw the top winner is actually using Mouse deck top deck, right?
Yes.
So yeah, basically, I can see why you want Siegfrieden. Was this? Oh wait, it was Siegfrieden. I was like, was it Siegfried or Siegfried?
Sorry. It wasn't Siegfried. It was actually Siegfried.
Oh, it was Siegfried.
Yeah,
actually,
Siegfried.
right. So I can...
Siegfried is okay. Siegfried is okay. Yeah,
It's
Siegfried is okay.
right.
It's actually Siegfried XV. Yeah, totally forget.
Oh, I see. You're right. So it was Siegfried XV. So Siegfried XV, yeah, I can see why you hate it so much because I myself playing as a white player, I don't want things to clear my field. So whenever Siegfried come in, You don't want to ask if he has a flash. He'll flash. He'll flash in your face and then destroy your highest PP. Alright, so we have two of our guests must ban card. So let's move on to the actual ban list, which is now I'm going to show you here. I believe everyone have already seen the ban list. You've already seen the ban list, the cards, and everyone got shocked. And then everyone's like, why you ban my card? Why you ban my eyeball? Why you ban this by that? Here, we're gonna give you a chance to talk about it. Alright, so first, any cards you guys want to mention from this list?
I think I will let Bruce do this first, especially with his experience in Japan right now. You should have a much more clearer on looks of the current meta and also why certain cards being banned. So yeah, Bruce, I give you. Oh, continue.
Yeah. So from my perspective, actually the ban list is kind of bad for me, because I think Bandai did this just to sell their new shit. Yeah, and also they also banned my one and only eyeball, Wolf.
I believe it's this.
But then I think some of the cards, yeah. But then I think some of the cards should be banned long ago lah. For example, like the Dark Initiation, because I think it's for loop deck lah. So I don't really like loop deck because once they get to do their shit, then you cannot do anything lah. Basically, you just die. And then it also drags. Yeah, and it also drags the game, maybe causing double loss lah. Because in Japan, right, for the finalists tournament, the top 32, right, during Swiss round, you only get 25 minutes of playtime. Once it's more than 25 minutes, they'll straight get double loss lah. So I don't like this kind of thing. Yeah. And also the Tiger Hector, yeah, I think his name is Hector lah. This XL, it stops you from drawing, so definitely have to be banned. Because some decks, right, you get this in your first turn, you set it to your open zone, then you just win the game.
Yep, basically opponent can't draw cards, no resource, dries out, you win the game.
Imagine fighting this thing. You just lose, you don't get to do anything. And also Butterfly Jammer lah. Butterfly Jammer and the other Green Mirage. This one should be banned long ago lah.
Bind Mage and Butterfly Jammer.
Yeah, some decks get this and then straight lose.
When opponent set this into the Mirage, you just have the exhaust your eyeball. You don't get to do anything.
Yeah,
I see.
And also the Purple Nexus, I think this shouldn't be banned because I mean this thing got banned just because they want to sell their new cards. So I think it's kind of bad. Because it stopped a lot of times. Yeah, especially on Boro lah, got hit so hard, man.
Yeah, this is the basic engine. All. Yeah, that's all. For
yeah. And also the Red Magic.
What is it? The Red Magic?
The Unicorn Magic.
Yes.
The Unicorn Magic.
Yes, I was about to add into this.
Like, they just banned this to sell their new cards also, so that's why this ban list is banned here.
Yeah, I was about to add this into your list because this card, I play Unicorn, it get banned. All I want to do is NTD and then get it back to my hand so I can activate the game, draw 2 more cards and die. Yeah, but it got banned, so that's my only countermeasure for you as a Unicorn player. But they banned it instead, so sad. Alright, thank you, Bruce. So next we'll move on to Wilson. Wilson, what's your opinion on this new ban list?
Since Bruce mostly touched on the loop decks and also the Hector, I think I'll go on to the choices of where they ban Swallowtail and also Sexy Bazooka. Personally, I was definitely agree with what Bruce has mentioned. They are definitely paving the way for the current Groundwalker meta that is going to be coming out, the Shin contract. And however, I will say that the Space Century Carter ban was a bit of a shock. I think it simply has to do with a color red. Because Space Century Carter is actually not that bad of a card, especially with just them limiting your core charge 1 per turn. I don't think it's that bad of a card. It's really just slowing down what the Groundwalker can do. But I think it has to do why it got banned right now is because it had to do with red. And the current top deck in this meta right now is Mouse. And this card going into mouse has no problem at all. Because this card also draw 2 cards, if I recall, during the main phase,
Yeah,
and you set this on the field, and the instant you get to play against the Groundwalker already, immediately you activate the Groundwalker even playing field. Yeah, evening the playing field already. Swallowtail and 60 Bazooka has always been a problem, especially during the Supreme Hero meta, when the Mega deck for God Sex and also the Supreme Hero just came out. It was introduced in Mirage Era, but it won't be missed. It's a card that's really meant for good stuff, and I really can't see it being played in the main deck. But right now the problem with Sassy Bazooka and also the Swallowtail is it outright kill off Groundwalker decks. That is 3 cost or below. It doesn't allow core charge, it doesn't allow any effect being activated.
Yes.
And it's very easy to pull this off in blue, because even if you limit them to 1, the blue player, let's say if you play something like Casgo, or you play something like the Azurian Wave, which is, in a sense, you're still going through your deck through a lot of, let's say, magic, like draw 3, discard 2, you will have higher chances of getting a Swallowtail and 60 Bazooka, and you just set it on the field, set it on the Mirage Zone, and then that instantly it just stops the Groundwalker deck from being activated. And this in particular, but it's a bit weird because they chooses this the blue and the red choices of limiting your factors into against the Groundwalker, but they didn't. But there's this one card, if I recall, it's actually it's actually a white version. It's a collaboration card. I recall it's from Orc. So it doesn't allow you to activate the Groundwalker effect if it's being set on the Mirage, and you get to set free if you have an Orc card that reveals it. So far we haven't seen any. Plays. Plays again. Like, let's say if you right now we only see these 2 colors, the white colors one. If we did see more plays once the Groundwalker is coming out, then I probably think they'll be going into the Hall of Fame as well. Then I think moving on to the Jammers. The Jammer and the Vampire Avort, these 2 has always been a problem since the contract hand. And before I think I saw the comment. I think before I going into these 2 cards, one of them did mention that wouldn't Bone Shark be the same thing? And yes, I agree that Bone Shark will be the same thing, and but the reason why they don't limit Bone Shark is because currently in the contract hand, there is actually a lot of answer against Nexus strats. So there is, let's say if you play Rick, you have a ways to bounce the Nexus. If you play Mouse, you have a way to destroy the Nexus. If you play Yellow, you have a way to disable the Nexus. And hence I think why is like, they're probably thinking like, you know what, Bone Shark will be fine. I'm sure the player have an answer against it. And now moving on, because in contract hand, right, usually decks, they either play 1 contract or they play 3 contract. It depends, like let's say Java, you play 1. And then after that, playing against something against like a Butterfly Jammer. So the problem with Butterfly Jammer is that it's a delay card. Initially was used against, I just don't like you to rush me, and if I manage to heavy exhaust you, and I can do something to your Groundwalker. It really is a Mirage, small Mirage type of cards with addition of a negate. But because they introduced contract, which relies on offensive strats, so the Butterfly Jammer became very valuable here. And the instant they get goal first and they set the Butterfly Jammer Mirage on the board, is a very hard answer against a contract player. Like say, I only play 1 contract, and I don't have a special resistant effect against a Jammer, and in that sense, I might lose the game because I just don't get to play the deck the way the deck is intended to. And and then the Vampire Avort, which is also the card that Bruce likes to play a lot, especially because of his history as a Purple Nova player. Vampire Avort, I think, right now, because of the appearance of the let's say the contract descent, a lot of the contract descent right now doesn't really require you to use Soul Core, which is also a pretty decent way for you to play around the cards. But I think the reason why they let it go, just like what Bruce said, they want to make way for the manifestation keyword, which are forcing the players to use the Soul Core in order to summon the new extra that will be introduced in like the later formats. and that's this. I think the main focus right now for the ban list is really just getting rid of a lot of delays cards that delay the players, delay the current meta, the way they are being played. But the problem right now is that the meta speed is still the same. They are getting rid of the restriction that's stopping them from being played, which is good because there are a lot of decks outright losers against these cards because they have nothing, no realistic answer, no realistic answer against to play around it, which makes like it's like yeah, the meta is very diverse right now. But actually, the reason why it's diverse is because all these decks individually has a very straightforward answer against the restriction card. Like if you use Superstar against Vampire Evoke, you can destroy it, you can pluck the core. If you are using Rig against Vampire Evoke, you can bounce it. You don't really have to care. If you are using yellow against Vampire Evoke, you can simply minus the BP without even relying a lot on your soul core. There's actually a long way to get rid of Vampire Evoke, but against a specific type of decks that has to rely on the soul core early on, this card is just a pain in the ass.
Yes.
I don't like this card. Yeah, it's really a pain in the ass. Yeah.
Understandable lah. Playing against this card is also like nightmare lah, especially when you
Yeah.
have cover plus this thing. Then some of the deck just outright loses because they can't.
Yeah,
do
it's just
anything.
outright losers.
Yeah. And also, like you say, some of the cards, especially Mirage. I think Mirage is like a very dumb thing, a very dumb mechanic, in my opinion, because there's nothing you can do against a Mirage. You cannot destroy it, you cannot discard it, you cannot bounce it. They just set it there, then you can't do anything.
Yeah, I'm actually very surprised they decide not to introduce because every set they always do the same thing. They always have a mechanic that destroys the old mechanic, and I'm very surprised they don't do anything to the Mirage.
Like the God Break against Grandwalker, and also, just very dumb lah, not letting us to destroy the Mirage.
All right. So here we have already heard the opinions from both our guests, but we have already all three of us has already ignored one of the cards in this 10 new cards. It is one of the most innocent card. It is not the red card. It's not the the Universal Sanctuary thing. It's not the UC thing. It's actually this card, Swallowtail, the original version of Swallowtail. The most innocent card. It has nothing to do with current meta. It has nothing to do with anything we're going to play in the next season or even the future season. It is banned because he shares the same name as this new revival Swallowtail. He is the most innocent. You have to agree with that. Alright. That's everything on our forbidden list. This is everything that we can't play in right after April 1st. Yeah, we won't see this card anymore. So yeah, leave your prayers down below in the comments, or you can, whatever religion you're in, pray for them, and then may their soul move on. Alright, so let's move on to the next slide, which is our limited to one list. So,
I think I'll start first.
Yep.
Yeah. I'll start first. So, in my opinion, you see the first the purple card. I'm not sure what's its English name lah. the 2-cost spirit. Yeah, I'm surprised this card is not banned. Actually, it's very strong against the coming meta, I think, because you cannot do the core charge, so it's gonna delay you for very long. Because if so core is placed on this, then it has like resistance against anything. So I'm surprised this is not banned. It's kind of weird. I think this should be banned if they want to sell their new stuff, And then also, I'm surprised that limit the blue color, the 3-cost spirit, and also the beach, the nexus, because I think either one of them should be limited to one or either banned but both of them got in. I'm kind of surprised because Azure Wave, especially Shark is a very strong deck. It has been very strong for like 2 years straight. It has been on top of the meta for a very long time. And so Laser, this spirit is a very strong card So I think if I were to be one of the person that make the ban list, I would choose to ban one of them, then put one of them to 3 Yeah, that's for my opinion. And also the Superstar Spirit, the 3-cost Superstar Spirit. I'm surprised that they still choose to restrict superstar lah. But I get it lah, because this deck has been very strong for so many years already.
Yeah.
Even after so many ban lists.
Even after so
I think
many
this
bans
mega
and
deck-
limitations.
I think this mega deck is definitely one of their greatest mistake.
Yes, agree. I agree to that.
I mean, why are you giving a Grand Walker Seeker like
Immunity.
I don't know.
And then a seeker that can open trees, search for a Grand Walker, search for a Supernova, and then it is unaffected, fixed
Yeah.
symbol, fixed reductions, everything in one card.
Then he can block you,
Yeah.
and then he just Corin the advance the cost 4 thing, and then pull it out from the Corin motor, and then use again his when summon skill. So actually it's free. I don't know why they designed this card, and also they gave Superstar 2 kind of Grand Walker Seekers. It's kind of crazy,
Yes, I agree to that. I agree to everything you said.
Yeah.
Because especially for the Omnio Child, unaffected by effects, it cannot attack, and then it forces you to call charge from your life. So yeah, it is very troublesome.
Yeah, and also the Blade Insect. I think this is the Blade Insect, 2 of them. I think the deck is very sad. You can't play the Blade Insect deck anymore.
Yeah.
Like the Space Pirate, and also I think Kronos. 3 of them is like very sad. They didn't do anything to the meta, but their cards did.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
But I'm surprised they choose to limit one the Saga Brave. Yeah,
this
but
one?
yeah. This thing is actually, I think it's okay lah to have this entry. I'm not sure, but I think it's okay lah. I think that's all for me.
Yeah, there's a bit sides. Same. I don't have any opinion on. I don't know why it's inside of this limited list. Maybe from Wilson's side, they can he can give us some insight for this one.
Okay, I personally think Belzebub's side should be banned.
Should be better.
Because it should be banned. Personally, because we haven't seen what Hades can do yet, and this card in particularly can brave onto Purple Groundwalker Nexus. So the reason why they hit this card, even though it doesn't have a high usage, is because of the grand field that is given to the Groundwalker once you brave on top. If I recall properly, you can exhaust Groundwalker Nexus, and then after that you can prevent them from activating their effect, and you can do this again next turn. So if you're playing something like a Hera, let's say Hades happens to have a very nice synergy list for decks like Hera, then you can play a bit more of a Groundwalker. And because Hera, as a deck, she plays around the color purple. She don't really care so much. I mean, she still have to play her door engine, but she can actually pick up the side easily with her engine. So she can pick up the side, and then after that she just play on top. And then you can just start controlling the opponent Groundwalker. It's a bit problematic, especially when the Ogre Wizard has a problem. The Groundwalker deck has a very annoying playstyle where it starts to discard. And we haven't even talked about decks like Shiva. Shiva on its own can search this Brave using his Godseeker.
Yes.
But the problem I think right now is let's say one day Mono deck came out. We do not know what the Hades deck can do. We don't know what the Athena can do. But if let's say the Apollo came out and it became one of the top contender, this card, if it's at 3, I think people will bring back the old Groundwalker decks, something like Neo, something like Shiva. They all have certain tools to be able to bring this card back. The attack effect is actually okay. The attack effect is just summoning something back. It doesn't really matter. But the grand skill can be a bit annoying if let's say someone decided that, you know what, I'm going to try and build a purple Groundwalker control deck against the current Groundwalker meta in this environment. Playing it at 1 is fine, because playing at 1 allows you to just stop one Groundwalker at a time. And if you are playing, if a Groundwalker deck, you can always have multiple Groundwalkers. So there is not that big of an impact. But if someone found a way to abuse this, then this might be a problem. But personally, I think right now we haven't seen users of it. And just like Bruce said, he actually not sure. I also not sure because this card haven't seen its users yet. On paper, it sounds very annoying. Like on paper, it sounds very annoying right now. But we haven't seen people actually using it. So I think once the mega deck came out, if a purple player decide to let's give this card a try, and even if at one and you see the impact that it does to the Gronka decks, then that could be an issue.
Okay.
Yeah, and also the like what Bill say is actually pretty sad for the blade insets for the cards to be limit. It shares the same effect as Hector. Allow this here, but it only limits to 2 colors. Personally, I think the reason why they limit it to 1 is because they still want to enable the blade insets to have certain level of play, like switching Mirage, having some options to deal against certain colors. Because these are the cards that usually you won't see being played into other type of decks. Because this card it doesn't really make sense if you try to replace Hector, because the difference between Hector and the blade insect cards is that Hector gave you an extra core if you throw it into an Axel, and the opponent actually have to tag cards against the Axel zone to deal against Hector. But the Joan N and also the Scala Baby, they both have very specific. Yeah, they both has a very specific color that it doesn't really make sense for them to be banned. But limiting, I think I can see why. They probably just want to avoid, like, we're just going to limit this to 1. So let's say in the future we release something that has to do with the colors that they control. And we just don't want people to be switching back to this sort of decks. We still want them to have options like this, but at the moment, it's not consistent. So just putting it at 1, I think is more than enough to do a lot of damage to the deck itself, really. And I'm actually going into the superstar, right? I actually agree with Bruce that why they didn't ban this for a while, but I think right, because it also has to do with the date where it was released, because superstar deck is released on 2019. It's released in an environment where you have the armor dragon, and then once we have the armor dragon, immediately you have the Sarawati, which is an imp deck. Then these 2 decks revolve around very fast combo pace decks. They usually are going around turn 3 to turn 4. They are really there to look into your face and kill you already. And Armor Dragon always has a way to pierce immunity. So the Tabus actually doesn't really have a very decent way to deal against them. Like, I can just put it as a blocker, but in the end it doesn't really matter. I can just bounce it back to the hand. And against Sarawati during the environment, Sarawati will just attack as many times as it can. So usually once the imp deck, the Groundwalker back then in context, Sarawati usually lethal can do more than 6 damage. And most of the damage usually come from the Groundwalker because of the Grand Force mechanic. Tabos can't really do anything against it, because should you use this card to block her, you're actually just taking 1 damage due to Saga Brave effects. And during that time, it wasn't really. I think the R&D don't really bother with it, because the card doesn't pose as a threat. It's like, yeah, this card, it has immunity. It's good for the slower decks, because I think it was supposed to be designed to, like, Superstar was meant to be a slow deck. It wasn't meant to be fast. We need something to help Superstar to get to where it needs to. And then fast forward to Contract meta, where the decks are really, really fast. But they have a very obvious weakness. They are very fragile. Like, let's say if you play the old decks and then you play against Contract, you don't have to really care what they do, but in a nutshell, they will always attack you. Like, every turn they will just try to attack you, get the count, and then they will try to deal lethal to you, like, within 3 to 4 turns. And as a superstar deck, they are very happy, because in the old meta, where you have something like Sarawati, Armor Dragon, Amaterasu, these are all setup decks. So they will set up first, like turn 2 to turn 3, and then the superstars just have to look at them, shit, oh no, I need to get into my magic, I need to draw as fast, I need to get into my searcher, because they are not going to deal damage to me, and I'm not going to get enough cores to be able to be more greedy with my options. Contract does that, and Contract is just telling you, you know what, I'm not sure what you can do, but I'll make sure that I'm going to deal lethal to you. And Superstar is like, you know what? Yes, please attack me. So you have the searcher, the purple searcher, the tabu, just sitting there, and then the contract just can't do anything with it. He has to attack the superstar player, and the superstar player has the option to block with it. So it's like, if I'm not in danger, this card is actually like a last minute panic button. Oh, I have to block this now. This is too much. But if usually this card doesn't block against the opponent, like if you don't use this card to block, you usually can tell that the superstar player is very safe. He has options against you. He just want to make sure that he doesn't want to use the blocker as the last resort. Putting it to 1 now, I think makes sense because it's in the contract environment. But once the contract environment fizzles out, we are back to a much more slower meta. Then I think I can see superstar probably gonna go down soon, because this is the type of card that you will want to see in the early stage of the game. Unless someone decided to, you know what, we're going to play a lot of ground walkers, we're going to try to put this into the trash so we can have a ways to pick this back up. But at the moment right now, I think this limit list is just a really straightforward answer against the contract, because so far the Mega has already an answer against this card. I can destroy this card cannot be guarded. And so I was like, okay, you know what, this is just because of the contract, has no way to deal against this deck. Therefore they limit it to 1, so they reduce the consistency and let the contract have a more fighting chance against this card. And now moving on, like let's say Bruce touched upon the Inno Racer and also the Verkite Beach. These two cards I actually agree with Bruce. You know, maybe we should have just banned 1 and we just go with 3. The reason why they limit 2 of this to 1, I think it's because they still want you to have the option to play them, not to outright getting rid of it. So Shark deck potentially can still play in the meta. You just have to play a bit more high roll. You have to farm the cards like the Nexus and also the Spirit as much as you can. And Inno Racer, in a sense, is if you really want to let Inno Racer want to ban the beach, or you want to let Inno Racer to be at 3, I think it's still okay, because Inno Racer opens up the burst of on summon effect. Because right now in the current meta you have Badger Dollars, you have Siegfrieden. If I recall, Siegfrieden should be a trigger on summon effects. I don't quite sure. But Mark 6 is also a good thing against Inno Racer as well. Which means Inno Racer wasn't really the problem, as long as you have a way to deal with it. But the Nexus is a big problem, because for Azure Wave, the Nexus is a straight golden ticket to your high roll turn 2 queue. If you, let's say you have the Elk, you have the cost 4 Elk, I'm not sure, basically for the Azure Wave player, you will know what I'm talking about. If you have the cost 4 Elk, you attack with it, you refresh, and then afterwards you advent onto the Tiger, which allows you to pick up redeploy your Nexus back if you attack again. And with that, you are able to get secure 6 count. And we haven't calculated your first attack. So let's say if you go first, you attack with Shark, you already have 2 count. So at that moment, you are at 8 count, which means you can descend using the, what do you call it? Shinkorin. You bring back the 10 cost Shark, and then from there you go into Gamer Shark and finish the game. That is a thing that you can do in turn 2. With 3 of them, with both of them being at 3, most of the Shark games usually end really, really quick, because you can't stop them. You will just farm their account and just go for it.
Okay, alright. So yeah, I feel the same. I agree with Wilson. Basically for Godseeker, it has been there for too long. But in the next meta, there's a lot of counter against this kind of like immunity. So for Inno Racer, I feel I kind of feel bad for it, because it is one of the cards I remember that prevents opponent, like Ice Mountain, what is it? The draw one card. This is like the only cards to counter play against those kind of cards. So whenever opponent plays Ice Mountain, you draw 3, you throw 2. It becomes a draw 3 and discard 5 cards instead. So this card actually protects blue players a lot and helps a lot. So rest in peace, Inno Racer. You will be missed in this kind of list. Like in this list, you will be missed. I feel it's kind of innocent for. It's kind of sad for you to go in to this kind of list.
Yeah, and I want to add something for the Inno Laser. Actually, you can see it's not just when summon effect, it also has a when attack effect. so forcing your opponent to actually destroy or remove it from the board. Then you have more options lah, like you can maybe activate your Jigfrieden XV, your Death Taurus XV, and also the latest white color burst, the X-ray. I'm not sure what the name is, but it bounce three ultimates to your opponent's hand, and then they are forced to discard until they have 4 cards in their hand. So yeah, you are actually forcing your opponent to deal with this, and if you have those bursts, it's very dangerous. Maybe they are dead in the next turn.
Yeah, you can say it acts as a scapegoat. So whenever opponent wants to destroy or target a spirit for destroying or for removal effects, this will be one of their first target to destroy. All right. Okay, so I think that's all for. Thank you, Wilson and Bruce, for your wonderful information on this kind of card. These 8 cards. Same. Say your prayers. RIP in the chats or F in the chat. I don't know. So let's move on to the next slide. All right, on the next slide we can see here, this is a new kind of band pick thing. So it is the Kinshi pair. So these 2 cards, you can only choose one. How does it work is this, there's these two cards. You can only play one of them in your deck. If you have Dark Tower, for example, if you have Dark Tower, you cannot play the Tower of Darkness. So if you have Tower of Darkness in your deck, you cannot play Dark Tower. You cannot play 2-1 or 1-2 or 1-1 or either one. You can only have one of it in your deck. So what are your opinions on this new kind of ban ways, this kind of bans?
I think right, they should have done this very long ago. I'm actually very surprised they only decided to do something like choice ban, which Bushiroad card game has always been doing ever since the start of D formats. But going back to the ban pairs, the main reason why I think they still do not allow you to use the 2 of the Dark Towers together, simply because Dark Tower, even though let's say Dark Tower limits the opponent's ability to be able to Radiant Descent, Contract Descent, but having 6 pieces of it makes it harder to work around, because no matter how fast your deck can destroy a Nexus, usually you can only destroy, let's say, 1 to 2 Nexus per turn, unless you play a specific Nexus hit kind of cards, where you can destroy maybe upwards of 3 or more. Having 6 pieces of this can open up to, let's say, purple decks. In general, purple con decks, they will love to have this style of cards, like especially when they also give red symbol, which is a big problem. Even during back then, people has been putting in Dark Tower for 3, then afterwards you can see Amaterasu tagging in this card for 2, and then some of the mouse deck, they also tag Dark Tower themselves, so just to combat against the opponent. Even the Guts, which is from BS64, has been, because he doesn't really have a very good defensive option. Dark Tower has always been one of his primary way of stopping the opponent from going more offensive using the descent mechanic. So here, having the band pair, I think the first band pair for the Dark Tower, for both of Dark Tower, is really just a showcase of Bandai moving, the Kadas moving on to a different direction, where they were like, okay, you know what? We understand already, guys. We don't want to ban your favorite cards anymore. Every time you ban your favorite cards, you guys just feel very sad. So hopefully, ban pairs, this allows certain combination, because ban rate is a bit more complicated. Like if let's say you ban 2 of the important cards, I can simply find a different combination, and then I can just play into a new deck. It doesn't really matter like if this combination is much more weaker. What matters is it still works. And I think their goal was to, let's say, if this combination is being seen everywhere, like I play this in like 4 to 5 or 6 decks, and right now Bandai is like, okay, you know what, this combination is very highly used, and let's ban them so they don't get to play together. But players with the specific card decks that tie to that specific cards still enjoy let's say the cards, the benefit that the cards can offer. So I would say right now ban pair doesn't really show any significant changes, more so as to showcase that we have this thing right now, so let's see what they bring to the table in the future lah.
All right. right? So it's basically a new kind of bans. So it's just stopping you from making imba combos or very disturbing combos. So how about Bruce? How about your opinion on this ban pair?
Basically, Wilson actually concluded what I wanted to say, but yeah, actually like this kind of new mechanic that introduced the band pair. Like just now we are saying the beach and also the inner laser, right? I think it should be put here instead, letting you choose to use one of them. And also, in my opinion, the say Ruby and also the four cores. I think his name is Novel Wake, the one that you can flash and then jump out in opponent attack step, the four cost
Okay.
Java thing. Yeah, I think that one should also be put inside here. Yeah, in my opinion, because having both of them inside the same deck is very crazy.
We're discussing core boost, and then you can put everything back, say Ruby again.
Yeah.
Okay, alright. So this is our opinion on the ban pair, which is a very quick session because there's only 2 cards, which is actually only 1 ban. But yeah, this is the only bad news we have, because moving on we have the good news from Battle Spirits. So these cards are the cards that are released from being banned or limited to 1, released from the list. So we can see here is the Invisible Cloak, the Revival and the non-revival version, the Magic Book, and the Wanderer Lolo. So I've seen everyone commenting on how to abuse the Wanderer Lolo 6 symbol, and I have already seen someone talking about Invisible Cloak making every deck unblockable, 3 pieces in one deck, those kind of disgusting combos. Yep, I've heard a lot of news, I heard a lot of excitement from the players. And what about you guys? Maybe Wilson? You wanna like...
Alright, so I will say this. The cards that are restricted right now probably won't make a big of an impact first. Let's say for example for Invisible Cloak. Invisible Cloak is basically a whiz. You're just making a whiz in a different white deck. So during this turn you just can't block anything that people throw at it. I can see this being played in decks like, let's say you can play this on collaboration decks like Orb. And then afterwards for white decks, right now I don't see much because you have Whis, you have Pucci Stark, you also have Stark, you also have Rick. But the problem is that I don't think Rick player will really give too much attention to this card, simply because the way they finish the game is just very different. They also have their own way of finishing the game without really relying on the unblockable. So having Invisible Cloak is really just giving decks like collaboration decks like Freedom, they're able to have a way to play against Ultimate, because Freedom always have a certain, not all cards in Orb deck can deal with Ultimate, and having something like unblockable without relying on the zero Tensei can help them have a slightly different strategy, like using White World, or using cards that are increasing the count. Like maybe Start as a contract. For all we know, maybe we haven't seen the cards that being tagged to see what sort of evolution that it can bring into the next meta. But I will say Invisible Cloak right now, it just doesn't seem to be all that threatening. Even if it does, Pucci Stark sort of have an answer against it. So let's say if the usage become very high, and maybe players will like, okay, you know what, Pucci Stark might be good in this scenario. Let's try to use Pucci Stark against this sort of cards. So I wouldn't say it's that big of an issue. And even though, let's say if it's an unblockable cards, you can still be able to stop it with Diamond War. You can still be able to stop it with Burst War. There's a lot of ways for you to be able to stop it, unless the Invisible Cloak has a way. You play the Invisible Cloak in the sense that I'm just gonna have 3 to 4 symbol every single turn. I'm just going to have a way to use the Invisible Cloak every single time, and then that becomes a problem. But so far, hopefully, there is don't have this sort of interaction. I'm not too well versed in this particular card to be able to see what sort of combination it can bring. And most really, I can see that it's been played in certain heavy white decks, like white con decks. They need to have a different way of finishing the game without relying on just I just need to beat down. I need to fight against your blocker, or sort of that. Invisible Cloak kind of removes that barrier and just allows the white deck to just, it's lethal, and you have blocker. It doesn't really matter. I just play it. So that's sort of the impact that I can see that it brings to the table. And then Magic Book, for yellow is not really my expertise. I did play a bit of yellow, but Magic Book reminds me, immediately reminds me of decks like the which contract that uses the magic again? Farum,
Parum?
yes, Farum. Parum, yeah, Parum. This card is a 5-2. I'm not sure how big of an impact it can do yet, because the cost to use this card is very high. But what it really does is that it allows you to just swap your hand. Let's say you have a hand full of magic, you can just swap it. But I'm not sure. I don't think this is a card meant for Parum. I don't think this is a card meant for Parum. It does feels like I can play this with Parum, but may not be as efficient as I think it is. Let's say you can play, because it revolve around open zone already, and that is not really my field of expertise regarding, let's say, any yellow decks that deal with open zone. That could be a potential combo for a different color type of deck, because it doesn't really specify what color that you can play using the magic book. Because magic book simply just say, play the color, any amount of magic in the field, and then you just draw, and then you just draw according to the amount that you place it onto the open zone. So it could be a potential, con style decks, or a potential loop deck in the future, for all I know, without using Dark Initiation. But for now, I don't think this card brings high significance to the board yet. Unless, let's say, you always have effect, I can play this card for free. Then yes, then we can probably see this into a certain type of deck. That one that happened, then it will probably rise in terms of usage.
Right, nice.
Yep. And now, because we've been talking about these two cards, now going back to Lolo, I don't really see, I don't quite understand why they have to unlimit this. To be honest, maybe they want to make way for decks that utilize in multi-colors, multi-symbol. Because the first thing that come into mind when you look at Lolo with all the 6 symbol is usually God Sex.
Yes,
because God Sex plays around the 6/7 rush. You are using multiple different color. By having Lolo, you just unlock everything. You're basically playing the speed run to 6 symbol. But the problem right now with Wanderer Lolo, if you play Wanderer Lolo at 3, last time with 1 Wanderer Lolo, you may not have the luxury to be able to play Wanderer Lolo out as easy as you think it is. But because Wanderer Lolo now is at 3, you always have a way to, let's say you play 1 Wanderer Lolo, then you play 2 Wanderer Lolo, I'm not sure what are they gonna do about a lot of multiple Wanderer Lolo on the board. But probably the first thing that you can probably do is you play the the draft booster,
the
Tor. Yeah, the castle Tor. You just use it, and then you just mill for every symbol you have on the board. That's really the only thing I can think of.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what are they trying to do with this. It just feels kind of weird, but Wanderer Lolo can be very good in the future, or it may be just a card that is already out of the meta. It doesn't really do much anymore. And even if you play it, it can be it has a potential effect. So that can be a problem. Maybe someone tried to do a speed run Castle Tor, or someone try to let's bring back God Sex. We have to find a way to summon this thing as fast as we can, and then we just go into 6/7 rush. But we will see. For now, this card being unlocked it's actually a big thing, because with the 6 symbol, I'm not sure what you can do now with the current decks, because as far as I know, a lot of the decks are now mono colors, so they can't really make full use of the Wanderer Lolo. But maybe in the future, where they start introducing, double color strategy, double color plays, just like back in the days with the Mirage, where they introduce green, yellow, red and white, blue and purple, all those sort of things. But for now, it is just how it is. I think I look at it this way. There's not much benefit for now if you were to use it in the decks that you currently play, but more so that is there to help the old decks that relies on multiple colors to be able to consistently play out their strategies, like God Sex, or Investigators, all these sort of decks. Yeah.
But from what I see for Wanderer Lolo, I remember there's that one God Sex Rono version, is it? I remember there's like
Yeah,
one
that's
Lolo.
a Godsec type Lolo.
Yeah, Gossip Type Lolo.
Usually use that to bring back. I recall. I don't quite remember the effect really because the effect is actually very niche. But I recall you can use the Godsec Lolo to bring back your Godsecs to the board. If my memory serves me right.
Yes, it is.
But
When
I
you
think
rush
that's
6
about it.
color, it
Yeah.
comes back to the board. Yes.
Yeah, and then with the Nexus, Purple Nexus, the being Oboro Nexus being limit, that sounds like a good opportunity, I guess.
All right. Nice.
Yeah,
Okay, with the new, what is it? The Ogre City? Was it the Ogre Tower, Ogre City thing? The Nexus.
yeah.
So it limits the this effect lah. All right. So, how about you, Bruce? How about your opinion on this limit? Oh, I saw. Wait, just before, right before that, I saw that one comment. Okay, Magic Book is good for my Mikafa loop. Yes, loop decks are very popular in Japan. Yes, and yeah, we can see Mikafa abusing 3 pieces of this. Yeah, in the future.
Using it, I don't want to see good tax, man.
It's
I don't have much to add aside from just now what you mentioned, the Mikafa move.
Yeah.
I don't really want to see that kind of deck.
it's a pain when you sit down and opponent doesn't show any contract, and then boop, there's this card, boop, there's a lot of Nexus, boop, Mikafa comes down, then you can't do anything because there's no flash timing for that.
Even if you go second, because if you go second, you start with 5 core, so the opponent just play Magic Book and you just play all his magic down to the open zone and just like, okay, so we are doing this right now. Yeah, we're doing this right. That can be a problem.
Yeah. Alright, so I think that's everything on our list. Invisible Cloak, Magic Book, and Lolo. Alright, be happy. If your deck plays this kind of gimmicks, it benefits your deck. Be happy. Pay more to Battle Spirit, make them benefits more, and then maybe they will release any cards from the list. I don't know, maybe they will listen to you. They might. Alright, so move on from this one. So, alright, here for discussion session, we are having comments. From what I heard from comments, a lot of comments that says, why are there no bans for Top Buddy Aibo, and there's no bans for Javad except for Hector. Hector is not a part of Javad, and then there's not really much thing that is banned in Java. There's not really much thing that is banned in Top Aibo. So maybe any information you guys can share with us for these kind of things.
Yes, I think I can share. Can you show my screen to them?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll stream my screen. Wait a bit. Okay, so can you see my screen?
Yep, I can see the screen. Maybe you can just you turn on the application first. I'll share the screen with them. Alright, just a minute, yeah. Just let me turn it on. Alright, yep, you're on.
So everyone can see my screen, right? So the first thing, right, why they didn't touch Top Buddy Aibo and also the Javad. Can see why, because you see this Grandwalker, the new Grandwalker Apollo skill. So it basically destroy BP, the Spirit and Ultimate under 7,000 BP, ignoring the BP plus thing lah. So you can see Top Buddy Aibo, even with overcount, it's only 7k BP, and also Javad, you need 3 cores to be able to bypass Apollo's BP destruction effect. So if you just put this down, you can basically drag delay both of the deck's turn like for 2 turns and more. So delaying them from gaining count like you just put this. If you are playing Apollo, you let Javad go first. So he cannot put his eyeball down. If let's say he start summoning his eyeball, then you just place your Apollo, and then you just do the thing mill 3, and then you gain 3 core. Let's say 2 cores lah. You can just destroy it outright. Then he has no answer. He's basically lose the game, or he just lose the tempo lah. So I can see why they didn't touch both of this. Yeah, because they cannot do much against the new Grandwalker Apollo. That's my opinion lah.
Alright, I see. So with lower BP and without the BP plus effect or BP plus during overcount, Apollo can easily destroy this kind of these two decks IBO at the beginning of the whole game. Is that that's basically what you said?
Yes.
All right. So it's harder for Javad and IBO to start the whole game, while Apollo can constantly destroy them for and then before they can add counts and then before they even start the whole game. All right. Bruce, do you have anything else to add on to that? Oh, hello. Bruce? All right. How about you, Wilson?
Actually, I can elaborate on what Bruce said. Because as far as we know for the viewers, if you have played the current environment, you probably familiar with how the game's gonna turn out right now. A lot of decks prefer to go second. If let's say you are playing decks that relies on attacking, and then you usually don't have a setup card in your hand, you always prefer to go second over going first. So from my understanding, in the context of the introduction in the current Grand Walker, the producer did specifically mention that they want to, neutralize the current speed. They want to slow it down, to make it, maybe drag the game even longer. Because in the producer letter, it does mention that the decks right now, they can usually finish the game within 3 to 4 turns, which usually 3 to 4 turns, and that can be a problem. Like if you are familiar with the meta game right now, you just go in and it's like, I just lost because the opponent just high roll me. I lost in 3 turns. I can't do anything. There's nothing much I can do. Even I just set up nicely. I just attacked the opponent, but I got punished because I have no straight answer against the current contract deck. Then, in my opinion, the design of the current Grand Walker decks right now is that it want to go first. So the Grand Walker decks say, I want to go first, so when you go second, you don't get to have the luxury of doing what you want right now. So let's say the Grand Walkers, because if you choose to go contract, let's say you play Javad, you go first. Usually by going first against Javad is a very good thing against contract, because contract in the early stage of the game, they can't really deal, not all decks have the options to do something against them. And then next turn you're going to have an extra call to work around with your Javad play already. But you try to go first in the Javad deck against the current Mega SD with Apollo, as Bruce mentioned. So long you have a way to, so your core charge doesn't miss, you will always have a way to destroy the contract the instant you deploy the Apollo against the opponent. So the Apollo right now serves as a stop. I'm here to slow you down, and you probably want to reconsider your strategy when you play against me, because Apollo is an instantaneous card. He just go in and like, okay, I cannot do anything to my opponent life. So we are still going back to the setup kind of gameplay, but the design of the Grand Walker so far from the Mega SD is that I will have something to do the moment I get down into the field. And that's a bit scary, because for a contract deck where you have to go second, you have to attack the opponent to gain the count and to gain resource. This is a big problem, because not all contract cards have the immediate answer to play around destructions or let's say removal effects. The instantaneous where they get removed. Like let's say you play Rick, you play Javad, like the wrong timing to get removed and you have no counterplay against them, that can be a problem. And even though let's say you have effects that bring them back into the game again, the instant you try to attack, they have the flash timing to react against it. So, but we won't see this much on, let's say, the lower tier decks, like lower tiers contract decks so far. But against Mouse and Javad, this is a big problem, because let's say you play Mouse, going first, you use the flash effect to get 1 count. And then the opponent is playing Apollo, so you drop the Apollo and destroy the Mouse, and the Mouse goes into slow state. So now you have 2 options. You play another Mouse, or you play a Nexus, and then you use the Mouse effect to gain 1 more count. And that's pretty much it. You can't do anything else aside from trying to, get to your quest, your count 6, count 7, try to get to your count so you can play your extra as fast as you can. Apollo is just going to sit there and just going to look at you. If you don't reach above the BP if you don't have the BP that you can't touch me, that I cannot touch you, then the Apollo will always destroy anything. Because if I recall, the new Apollo effects actually ignores the BP plus effect. So if you are under the OC effect, it doesn't matter. So let's say your Javad, you got your count. Oh, my Javad, I above the power 7,000 already because I under the overcount effects. The overcount BP is going to give me the extra boost. But in Apollo wording, Apollo doesn't really care if you have a BP plus effect or not, because Apollo flash effect ignores the BP plus. So it doesn't matter how many count you have. If you are playing with your eyeball, you have to expect your eyeball being removed from the board instantly. So the only few decks that I can see to play against this sort of deck is, you don't really deploy your eyeball early on, so the decks don't really bother so much. The eyeball is like the second nature. So something like Strike Worm is actually pretty okay because it has an armor of its own. It can deal against this kind of setup decks, because the setup decks typically won't attack you so fast. So decks like Strike Worm is actually okay. And then after that you can play something like Rick. Rick is actually is fine as well, because Rick always have a way to redeploy the contract. If you always have a way to get it, like if you get the Nexus, you got the cost 2, you always have to way to revive your Rick, and also you have a descent effects, you will be able to get your Rick back. But the problem right now is that I think Rick BP is actually not high, even considering his other options as well. So Apollo, as long as you have a core to destroy the contract, you should be able to destroy anything as far as I can see. For decks like Mouse deck will still be surviving based on my prediction, because Mouse they can gain count without actually Mouse needing to be on the board. And that is actually the biggest problem you face when playing against Mouse, because other decks not all decks that have this effect where you can activate in soul state. Mouse is kind of like an exception where you can just activate the effect, gain the count in the soul state, and just pass the turn. And once you get into like your count 5 to count 6, or let's say your count 3, all you need to do is simply Radiant Descent into a spirit that has a much higher BP, and then you can just play your game really. From there on, your gameplay is back. You can just play your game. You can even just tune the deck to be a bit more setup based. So you just use the mouse to gain count, and then you just use the magic to draw as much as you can. So I would say Mouse actually have a way to play around, but for Javad it's a bit tough, because Javad still relies a lot on like, I need the Javad to be on the board to do something, and then that became a problem. So you won't be able to gain your count faster in the Javad deck playing against this. This is not really a good matchup for a Javad player, based on what I can see now. Unless people realize that, you know what, let's play the shark. I discard it, I just bring my Javad back. Hopefully I can just gain the count as soon as I can. But the problem is that you have to gain the count on the attack. You cannot gain the count on the flash timing, because Apollo is always there waiting for you. So your Javad is not going to be 100% safe. You have to get to your count 3 so you can core in onto your Lord Javad. So that way you are outside of the Apollo destruction range, and that's pretty much the way you play around it. But at the early stage of the game, you're going to have a very hard time. You need to find a different way. You have to let one Javad die, and then you have to find a different way to get the count instead of relying on Javad. That's as far as I can see the way that they want the game to be now. Grandwalker go down, Grandwalker have effects, and then the contract player will have to have a way to answer against the effect that is being demonstrated. That will be demonstrated in the future once they release more of the cards. But for now, even using Apollo as a benchmark, it's not looking pretty for the contract player.
Right, nice. Okay, so
Yeah.
I see in the future having Grandwalkers like Apollo in the beginning, at the starting of the game, you can just deploy it, wait for your opponent to attack, destroy it, and then you basically stop what they're going to do. They can't even proceed to the mid game and their end game. So yeah, that's basically our view on Wilson and Bruce's view on this future, the future of Battle Spirit. That's basically covered up everything. So one last question. So how are you looking into the ban list? How do you feel? Like, was it a good ban list? Was it a bad ban list? Was it could they have done more? Could they have like what are your other opinions on this kind of decks? Did the ban list?
I think looking at the ban list, so far right now, a lot of players be asking like based on the feedback that I've been looking, I say this ban list is an okay ban list. It wasn't the best ban list because it doesn't outright kill off certain decks that is still currently dominating. It only solve a few problems. Let's say they remove a lot of cards that soft lock your deck. So you get to play Battle Spirit without needing to worry about specific tech cards. So like Hector is gone now, so you don't have to tag in cards that can remove cards from the Exo Zone. Then you have the Wolf. You don't have to constantly think about I have to put my Soul Core onto the reserve so I can do something against him. Destruction effects. Then after that, certain decks for the future decks, you have your Swallowtail, your Sexy Bazooka being removed from the game entirely. So they don't really have to worry about whatever you drop, they have to find a different way to play it. So I think right now the ban list really just solved the soft lock meta that we have. Like I play this card, you don't get to play your game. And that is the biggest problem in the current meta game for Battle Spirit. Like I said before, the reason why there's still a lot of diversity despite the meta game being like soft locking. If I soft lock you, you don't get to play your game. If I do this, you're not gonna play your game. It's because each of this deck that is being presented usually have a straightforward answer or a roundabout way to play them to still put themselves into the game. Like if you have watched Battle Spirit Pro League, there is this one game where you drop the Hector, and then the opponent Aibo Shark simply cannot do anything, and that is the soft lock that I'm talking about. One card kind of kills off everything, and that is not really a thing that you want to see in like the top meta game. It's like, oh, so if I want to beat this deck, then I just need to play one card, then they can't play their game anymore. I feel like that's a lazy way of answering a meta game right now. I believe because Battle Spirit is very complex, in a sense where you play a lot of different cards, you try to answer different things. So you play in a way that people don't quite understand, and then but you know what you're doing because I want to answer against a specific kind of meta, so I play these specific cards. And Battle Spirit rewards you for answering the question correctly. So let's say in the Superstar meta, you play a much more aggro kind of deck because you know that Superstar is slower. So you want to play aggro decks to be able to just pressure them into making riskier decisions that may not be able to reward them in return. Instead of playing cards like, you know what, I'm just gonna seal your trash and you guys can't play your game. So there's these two kind of thing. It's like an easy way to beat the meta, or the much more thoughtful way. You put in your thoughts into it, you build out a game plan, and you try to beat the decks. And in my opinion, that is probably a much more rewarding way to do it. I won't say it's better, because better is subjective, but I would say it's much more rewarding because you're actually putting in the process to try to understand the deck, which in turn try to improve you as a player as well. Instead of like someone like or instead of trying to go like, you know what, just splash this card in and we're just gonna let the deck die. And that is not really a thing that I like to see lah.
Okay, wow, okay.
Yeah.
So basically, this new ban list removes all the tech cards, so you don't have to see like suddenly, oh, because of you having this card, I don't really get to play your game anymore. I don't even have the chance to win. Yeah, alright. So how about you, Bruce?
I think I shared my thoughts on the ban list in the beginning. At the very beginning,
In the beginning,
I think
yes.
it's a very meh ban list for me. Not only because my card got banned, okay. I just think the developers are being very lazy. They are not like thinking how they want to develop the future game. They just ban all these things to like they just
Just kill off everything.
just kill everything. I think it's very lazy, but I do agree with what Wilson say because some of these cards are very dumb. You just put it in and you place it, you win the game. I think it's not a very healthy style of playing the game, like especially when you want to go competitive and maybe win some tournaments, and then you just outright lose to one card. You cannot do anything, then you just die. I think it's not a very healthy thing.
Yeah.
But I do think that it's a very lazy way to solve this entire thing.
Okay, so basically Battle Spirits are full of surprise factor. burst, flash. You're doing something, suddenly your opponent says, look, I have the burst. Look, I have a flash. You can't play the game anymore. Alright, so thank you Bruce and Wilson for your opinion on this, the whole ban list. And that's actually the end of our stream, our discussion, our podcast, whatever you want to call it. And this is basically the end of it. Thank you guys for coming, and thank you our guests. A big thank you to Wilson and Bruce now for taking their time coming to my stream, coming to this stream on short notice. Again, yeah, thank you to everyone, and welcome to the channel. Sam, I hope you're not smoking anything wrong. Alright, so hope you guys have a good day, and let's pray for a better future, for better spirits, better ban list, better games, game plan, and better season. So let's gate open. Kai Ho, thank you guys for coming, and here I'll end my stream. Goodbye, see you guys again.
Bye bye.
Bye.